It was very scary. It was like my friend got shot in the back. He's in the hospital right now. And then my friend Victor, he was like laying on top of me, like making sure I was safe, and he got hit. So that was really brave of him.
Children laying on top of other children to protect them from gunfire, stained glass windows blown out from gunfire, and first responders swarming in a moment of panic. This is not the scene out of a war zone. This is the aftermath of another deadly act of violence in schools across the U.S.
That young man you just heard from, 10-year-old Weston Howells, who sat in a mass in his Minnesota Catholic school Wednesday as a gunman killed 2 of his classmates and injured 17 others.
And this shooting and other factors like social media, AI, many more, all just leading to a toxic school environment for students, faculty, and parents as well.
Yeah, fear, anxiety, and so many more emotions interfering with everyday life. Joining
us to talk about just the state of mental health as we are all back in school now, mental health expert Dr. Cherise Johnson, and a friend of ours here on the show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You know, it's interesting, the timing. I don't think this was a coincidence. We were going to have you here this morning anyway to talk about back to school, mental health, how to talk to your kids, what's going on with AI and some issues out there. And then we wake up, you know, we go to bed with this, and we wake up with a town in Minneapolis just reeling over this. And I know as parents, you're a parent as well of young adults. School's supposed to be a safe place, right? I mean, you can't bubble wrap every environment when your kids go someplace, but how do you wake up and even have these conversations when every other month I feel like we have this in the news?
It's very difficult to wake up and want to have these conversations, but we also have to have them because we are being challenged with ensuring our students' safety like never before. So my heart goes out to not only the students, but to the staff, to the first responders, and to the community, because that safety is taken away from everyone.
Cherise, when we talk about school, we talk about places of worship, right? These are sacred, safe places. When the children see kids their age on the TV, it's different when it's adults, but when it's kids their age, how do you reassure them that it's okay to go to church? It's okay to go to school. You're safe there.
It's important to be patient because as children, their mind will struggle to conceive that someone my age can be in threat. They have a lot of visuals that are there. So pay attention to if they say, I don't want to go, or I'm afraid to go, what will I do if something happens? So you cannot tell them this won't ever happen again, but you can say you're not alone and I'm here, and let's talk about what you can do in case something like this were to ever happen again.
If a teacher or as a parent, I mean, what are some signs that you might see in your kids, even if they're older, even if they're in high school or college for that matter? What are some things that you might start to see as red flags that go, I need to dig a little deeper, whether you're a teacher or whether you're a parent? How do we get a little deeper to the surface of what's going on?
So one of the biggest things that you're going to see is a slow withdrawal and an isolation. So a lot of times when we're overwhelmed, we kind of pull back. Our personality will start to mute a little bit. So if you have kids or students or even adults who start to say, I don't want to do things anymore, they don't seem as happy. Also pay attention for things like sleep disruption, having a difficult time falling asleep or staying asleep. And then appetite is another one that can kind of go under the radar if you see that they're not hungry and they're starting to lose weight.
Cherise, as far as the way we process it, when this was coming across the TVs yesterday, a lot of us in the newsroom weren't even sure it was a real shooting because of the amount of fake shootings that we've had. Are we just at a state where we're just so desensitized that we're, at first when you see it, it's just like, okay, that's not even a real shooting. And then when it does come, then it's just sadly, oh, it's another one. They used to, I feel like, have more impact. Is that just because we've got so used to it?
It's unfortunate, but yes, we are being desensitized, and it doesn't mean that we don't care. It's almost like you're numbing so that you can handle what's happening. And you know, if I get too emotional about this, I may not recover well. And the unfortunate part of the false shootings is it does make it difficult to know how to respond to these things.
You know, we were talking this morning, Cherise, when we were going through the story in Minneapolis. It's been over 12 years since Sandy Hook. You got Buffalo, you got Florida, Connecticut. I mean, you got all these different places, school shootings now. It wasn't as much of a thing when we were going to school. This has become the norm for our elementary kids and for middle schoolers, right? And when they go through these practices, even that kid Weston that we heard from at the beginning of the segment said we had practiced what to do in class. We had not practiced for this in what should have been the safe space, you know, which is where they were having mass in their cathedral in a church, something like that. Even this morning, we had an officer-involved shooting, and a school bus had to make a turnaround in a neighborhood because police tape was up. How do you not live in fear? I know we talked earlier about having a conversation with kids, but even as adults, how do you not live in fear and go, I can still go out in my day and be aware of what's going on and not let it take control of?
Preparation can help reduce the fear. There's going to be some level of fear because you are watching this happen everywhere, so no space feels completely safe. But we are at a place that we now will need to prepare. What does it look like on the school bus? What does it look like in mass? What does it look like in our churches and our synagogues? We have to do our due diligence and make sure that we let people know, in the case of an emergency, here are the things that you can do.
Sharice, as Jason mentioned at the beginning of this is not what we scheduled you to come on the show about. We want to talk about back to school anxiety, things like AI. Jason and Annie Sitowski did a great job with their back to school special. But speaking of AI, the really scary thing is that we're seeing AI almost, I don't want to say manipulate, but teenagers are getting in conversations where they can have the chat respond to them any way they want to. In one instance, I believe it was out of Florida, where they had the chat act as Daenerys Targaryen from Game of Thrones, and it was encouraging the teen to come meet me in the afterlife. And the teenager ended up taking his own life. Again, speaking of things that weren't issues when we were kids, how do you even begin to have your conversation with the teen about how to safely use AI and then also monitor them?
Yeah, it's a huge issue, and we talked about it some on our chalkboard to chat box. And we're going to have to put a plan in place. It's important for parents more than ever before, and students and teachers, to make sure that we're not only teaching them how to use it, but also teaching them the safeguards and knowing the line between what's a conversation that's meant to have with Chat GPT and what's a conversation that you really need to be having with another adult.
Because this is what's crazy. When you look at some of these, you got parents that have a lawsuit now against OpenAI. So this one team was using a chatbot, right? Just over time, right? It was just having normal conversations, talking music and sports, but it became its closest confidant, and then it started sharing destructive behaviors or destructive feelings that he was having, and the chatbot suggested concealing those plans from parents. Now, you can't put all this on certain technologies out there, but the problem is we're not having these conversations. Our kids aren't having those conversations with us. Yeah. How do we break that barrier?
We're going to have to sit down and make targeted time to have those conversations. So it's not a matter of, oh, I just believe that my child will come to me if they're having a difficult time. We're going to have to be intentional, cut everything off, let's talk what's going on in your life, and look for ways to do it that doesn't make it feel like an interrogation, because a lot of kids don't want to feel like, I know they're you have to do it kind of when they're not expecting it. Like, even doing it side to side is better than doing it across from them. And share what's going on in your life. So that means coming home and going, man, this has been really hard. I almost feel a little sad and depressed with everything that's going on. Have you ever felt that way? So then I've opened up an opportunity to disclose what I felt, and they go, you know what? I was feeling the same way, or my friends and I have been feeling the same way. So we also need to talk more so that they're encouraged to talk more.
Sharice, we got about 30 seconds left. I don't mean to put you on the spot here, but quickly, if you could, 2020 seems like a long time ago. The pandemic seems like a long time ago, but are we still seeing the effects of kids being isolated and trying to break out of that?
We are still seeing the isolation. What we're also seeing is their inability to know how to make connection. So that's another area where we need to support them so that they don't go to social media and chat for connection.
Authentic human connection.
Yes.
Yeah, not with technology.
Yes.
All right. Sharice, thanks for coming in. We appreciate the honest conversation. We're going to take a quick break. You're watching Queen City News this Thursday morning. We'll be back.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.